been a pleasure spending this week with everyone on Shnayim Yomi. It's been a real zchus for me to be able to be a small part of this endeavor every day, sharing a little knowledge, a little Torah, a little thought, some musar, machshava on the aliyas of Parashat Vayera, which was such an important parsha in the Torah. I'd just like to share with you a final parting thought for this parsha, for the Shabbos. We know that in the middle of the parsha, Hagar, who was the wife of Avram Avinu, she was sent away by Avram Avinu, and Vatelach Vatesava Midbar Beersheva, and she went and she got lost in the Midbar, in the desert in Beersheva. And Rashi says on those words Vatelach Vatesa that she went and she was lost. Mikan shechazra legilulei beis avia, that she went and returned to the avodah zarah, to the idolatry of her father's house. She came from idol worshippers. When she lived with Avram Avinu, she of course broke away from that world, but now suddenly she returned to that world. And the question is, where is that found in the pasuk? How is that alluded to at all in the pasuk? There was a great gadol, his name was Rav Mordechai Pogromansky, known as Rav Muttel. And Rav Muttel lived from 1903 to 1949. He was an outstanding genius. He was a charismatic Talmid Chacham, and he was in pre-war Lita known as almost like the greatest of minds in all of the yeshiva world in Europe. After the war was over, which he survived, he established the yeshiva in France. And what happened was that there were many people throughout Europe during the war that had children, and the children were not circumcised. They did not have a bris milah, which was also one of the things we learned in this week's parasha. Yitzchak had, but many children, because of the war, they were not able to have bris milah. So Rav Muttel, who was a big tzaddik, he wanted very badly to go from town to town and try to find children that were uncircumcised and perform that mitzvah. Many years later, of course, they weren't 8 days old, but it's never too late to have a bris milah. So he met up with a certain male, and they were going to go on a train to a certain city near Kovna. And there he knew of several children that needed to be circumcised. So as he was on the train together with the male, they were talking and they missed their stop. And they continued going very, very far. The train didn't make another stop for many, many dozens of miles. And the male was very upset. And the male said, "Oh, great, now we're lost. We're in Yiddish, the word is verblundet. We don't know where we're going anymore, and now it's terrible, and how are we going to get back?" And Rav Muttel said to him, you should know that a Jew is never lost. It's never possible to say about a Jew that he's lost. A Jew is wherever he is, that's exactly where he's supposed to be. And then Rav Muttel said this pasuk. He says, how do I know that a Jew is never lost? Because the pasuk says that when Hagar was lost in the desert, Rashi says, she must have gone back to being an idol worshiper. How did Rashi know that? Because if she had stayed Jewish, if she had not left the religion of Judaism, and she would not have gone to idolatry again, she would not have been lost. If the pasuk is saying that she got lost, it must be that she was no longer Jewish, because a Jewish person is absolutely never lost. Wherever they're found, that's exactly where they're supposed to be. And the male very much appreciated the idea, but he was still a little bit upset. And then when the train finally stopped, they went to the other side of the platform of the train, waiting for the return train to go back to that city. And as they're standing on the train tracks, a Jew in this in a city that was very empty of Jews, hardly any Jews lived there, Jew comes running over to these two obvious rabbis and says, "Wow, it's amazing that I see rabbis. I haven't seen rabbis in years. I have a son who needs a circumcision. Do you happen to know of a male that I could call to have him come to give my son a bris?" And Rav Muttel looks at the male and says, see, I told you that a Jew is never lost. And of course, the male went and circumcised this young man, and this is a very important lesson for us all to remember, that very often in life we feel that we've lost our way, we feel a little stranded, we feel estranged sometimes from where we think we should be, but it's always important to know that wherever we are supposed to be, that's where we are. And wherever we are, that's where we're supposed to be. If we're Jews, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us that you're never lost. You're always in my arms, you're always in my sights, you're always in my thoughts, and there's a reason for me putting you exactly where you are. Have a wonderful Shabbos.